Which luxury car brand was created to compete with Mercedes-Benz and BMW? If Lexus was created by Toyota and Acura by Honda, then who created Infiniti? Today we'll look at Infiniti and the story behind this luxury car manufacturer. When the world economic crisis broke out in the 1970s, fuel prices shot up and people started feeling the pressure in their pockets. Many Americans started considering more economical cars. This created a large niche in the American car market, and several Japanese car companies sought to fill the need. Japanese companies were relatively inexpensive and economical compared to American brands, but eventually the crisis ended. So now the demand for luxury cars returned. But in America, European car giants dominated the luxury market. You had Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Jaguar, to name a few. You had Lincoln and Cadillac too, but most buyers preferred European brands. Consumer perception was that European luxury brands offered more visual appeals and quality than the homegrown American counterparts. Japanese companies saw the shift in the trend. They saw that they were missing out in the luxury segment, and they didn't want to sit out. They realized that their traditional focus on affordable and economical cars was their own limiting factor. In this emerging race, the Japanese contenders were Toyota, Nissan, and Honda. Executives in all three companies each held a secret meeting where they decided to create premium cars. If you missed my story behind Lexus, the brainchild of Toyota, check it out. And stay tuned for an upcoming story on Acura, the luxury brand by Honda. But today's story is about Nissan. In 1985, Nissan formed their top secret Horizon Task Force. Their mission? To create a new performance luxury brand. After the economic crisis shook America, the emerging younger generation of Americans wanted speed and pleasure. They wanted newer, more comfortable, high-speed car, a combination of high-end lifestyle and practicability. So that was the Horizon Group's aim, to create a high-end lifestyle for everyday use. It wasn't just about having a higher price tag, but also about reputation. A car that would have everything from high-tech features to visual appeal. But luxury can be subjective. To understand Nissan's approach to luxury, you have to see the variety in perspective. For example, did you know that Ferrari's exhaust was intentionally synchronized to sound like a mix of a flute and a pipe organ? Or did you know that in 1950, a luxury Cadillac Eldorado car had a minibar and a perfume dispenser in its glove compartment? And did you know that the Lamborghini Aventador has doors that detach if the cars were to overturn? Of course, all these features are cool, especially if you're crazy, rich, and famous. But Nissan wanted to enable an upscale lifestyle that was more functional and practical, not extraneous. In 1987, the Horizon Task Force had been working for 2 years straight. They now came the time to name the new brand. They wanted a name that seized people's imaginations and inspired consumers to travel beyond. Eventually, they gave rise to the name Infiniti. But how did they get there? The name Infiniti with the letter I was based on the word infinity with the letter Y. It conveyed the Japanese philosophy of movement. Ever wonder what their logo means? Actually, it has a double meaning. At first glance, you see a mountain. Well, actually, that's Mount Fuji, which is the highest mountain in Japan. They wanted to reflect their Japanese origins. But there's a second, more hidden meaning. These two lines come together and merge in the center because they're traveling off into the distance forever. You see the vanishing point or infinity point on the horizon. This represented their aspirations for this new luxury car to be forward-thinking, always headed to new horizons, to infinity. It's quite poetic, actually. In 1989, North America saw its first two Infiniti models, the spacious and powerful Q45 sedan and the fast M30 coupe. It's interesting how Infiniti advertised their cars before they arrived in the States. 30 years ago, in their first Infiniti car ad campaign, the brand was introduced with poetic philosophy. Instead of cars, the ad showed various nature scenes, pastoral scenes like calm waters of the river, plants blooming, smooth stones, open country roads, and hills, trees, all very beautiful, but no cars. Nissan wanted to differentiate its new brand, and that's the angle they chose. They associated their brand with stress-free peace to inspire confidence in the reliability of their new cars. Unfortunately, it led to numerous jokes that Infiniti was planning to sell land instead of new cars. But even with that unexpected response, everything changed when the cars officially arrived in America. In 1989, they presented the Infiniti Q45 in a motor show in Detroit. They also showcased the car in 51 showrooms across the country and executed a major advertising campaign. The Q45 was a modified version of the full-size sedan, Nissan President. It had a rear-drive 4.5-liter V8 engine with 278 horsepower, 396 newton meters or 292 pound-feet of torque. It accelerated up to 60 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds, which sparked the interest of car enthusiasts. The Q45 had a self-locking differential and multi-link suspension. The leather interior had a premium Bose sound system, adjustable front seats, position memory function, digital climate control, and keyless entry. Along with the Q45, the sports coupe Infiniti M30 was also presented. It was a two-door GT coupe based on the Nissan Leopard. In 1992, the company released the J30 as the 1993 model. The media commented that the J30 had an odd appearance, and they were correct. It certainly left an impression. Even though it was a sports coupe, the exterior didn't have strong or sharp features, but it was almost jelly bean shaped. The Infiniti J30 was designed to compete with the updated Lexus ES. It was also the first mid-sized Infiniti sedan to compete with the Acura Legend, and actually it sold quite well. But beside the fact that these cars did well in the market, during the mid-1990s, Infiniti still lagged behind Lexus and Acura in sales. This motivated Infiniti to change the Q45 from a sporty, full-size luxury sedan into what became nicknamed the Japanese Lincoln. The company wanted a new design that would excite people. In 1999, Infiniti i30 won the title of the best modern car in North America in the luxury sedan class. Keep the brand going, Infiniti added more luxury cars and also SUVs to its lineup. In 1997, they produced the QX4, completely built in the U.S. This model had a 5.6-liter V8 engine with an output of 320 horsepower and 529 newton meters or 390 pound-feet of torque. It featured a 5-speed automatic transmission, and it could tow up to 9,000 pounds of weight and had a maximum fuel consumption of 11 miles per gallon. In 2003, the Infiniti G35 midsize sedan revolutionized the premium car market. It was named Motor Trend Car of the Year. The car was equipped with a new 240 horsepower 3.5-liter engine. That same year, a full-size version, the M45, was also released with an all-wheel drive. Over time, the G Series began to be called the Japanese BMW, since it competed with the BMW 3 Series sedans and coupes. In the U.S. market, the sales leader was the full-size crossovers Infiniti FX34 and FX45. These models came with 280 horsepower. In fact, half of the Japanese cars sold in the U.S. with FX34 and 45. The FX models became trend-centered. They had good handling characteristics that consumers wanted. In 2007, the Infiniti QX50 was released. Did you know that since 2013, Infiniti adjusted the naming convention for all their models? All car names came with a prefix Q or QX followed by a 2-digit number. Infiniti Q models were performance-tuned sedans and coupes. The QX models were luxury crossovers and SUVs. Also, the numbers following the prefix no longer reflected the engine displacement like they used to. Instead, it corresponds to the car's position in the Infiniti hierarchy. But let's talk engineering and technology for a bit. Infiniti hasn't been just about making cars. They've also been at the forefront of cutting-edge engine development. Back in 1985, the Infiniti engineers developed a new series of V6 engines called the VQ series. It offered optimal balance of power, torque, and fuel consumption. In fact, the VQ engines have been among the top 10 engines in Ward's Auto magazine for 14 years. And the VQ series ultimately became the precursors of the modern bi-turbo V6 engine. And that's not all with high-tech improvements. For example, in 2001, Infiniti introduced the first rear-view monitor technology in the U.S. to assist drivers when driving in reverse. In 2002, the company pioneered its first voice recognition system. Fast forward a few years to 2007, Infiniti introduced its new parking technology. That same year, they also introduced their lane departure prevention system. In 2011, Infiniti started exploring further technology collaborations by partnering with the then-reigning Formula One champion Red Bull Racing. By January 2018, something big happened to the Infiniti brand. CEO Hiroshi Saikawa announced that the brand would be transforming into an electric car brand. Infiniti has been inspiring for all new Infinitis to offer an electric powertrain that's either recharged by a gas engine or that's fully electric by the year 2021. So what's next for Infiniti? We're in the era of electrification, and more car brands are going electric now than ever before. Competition is good because it inspires all players to push the envelope. We'll just have to wait and see who emerges as a steady champion. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video. Thank you.